YouTube, Shinobi here with a review of the Power Rangers Dino Charge Villain Figures Wave 2. I'm just gonna go with that. I forgot what wave of actual figures this was. I think it was like 7 or 8 or something like that. Pretty close, somewhere around there. Maybe only 6, I don't know. But this is our second batch of the 5 villains. We took a look at the first batch not too long ago. And then Fury and Vivix a very long time ago, way back when the line just started. And now this is our last wave of figures for Dino Charge before Super Charge starts hitting. In fact, at the time of this recording, it already is hitting, and I'm sitting on a lot of the product, and I realized I didn't film this review yet, so I kind of need to get this out before I move on to the Super Charge stuff. So, this batch includes Spellbinder, Slammer, Stingrage, a Vivizord, and Sledge himself, which is actually really cool. I will get to him. We'll go ahead and just start with Spellbinder and work our way forward. Again, just like the last Charger review I did, a huge thanks to Deven for picking these up for me, because I have yet to see these guys at my local store. I just saw a Slammer today, actually at a Toys R Us, and that's the only villain they had. So I've yet to actually see a full set of these guys in a local store of mine. So again, huge thanks to Deven for picking these up for me. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at Spellbinder and make our way to Sledge. That was weird. Alright, here is Spellbinder, and he's alright. He looks nice. His sculpt is pretty good, and I like the whole raven and the nest thing that the design's got going on. Kyoryuger had some pretty darn good monster designs, if I say so myself. His cape is a soft, rubbery plastic, so it is a little bit pliable. So again, if you're storing this guy, make sure it doesn't get all bent out of shape. Articulation-wise, his head rotates completely like an owl. And his arms just go up and down. There is no swivel in his arms, so there's no outward movement whatsoever. His hips are all basically the same hips and knees that all of these figures have. So nothing new there. I don't really know what could be done to make this figure a little bit better. Arm articulation obviously is definitely hindered, and I think by adding a swivel that would have helped tremendously. And the lack of elbow obviously is a little bit of a deal as well. But like I said, he looks okay. A couple details need to be highlighted, but I think on display he looks perfectly good. And yeah, he's alright. We'll leave it at that. Here's Slammer, and he's awful. There's very little redeeming qualities about Slammer, and he's probably the worst of the villain figures. Puzzler's pretty up there too in terms of not that great of a figure. But this guy, honestly, I think kind of takes the cake. He does have knee articulation, which is more than I can say about Puzzler. So he's got decent knee articulation, except his design kind of inhibits the horizontal movement there. But his arms, there's no swivels up here whatsoever. There's just a hinge at the elbow. So there's no swivel either, so he can't even like swing his arm outward or anything. He's stuck in this like Domo arigato Mr. Roboto pose, and it's really weird. His head does rotate, so there's that, but I don't know. There's just no really redeeming qualities about him. I wasn't a huge fan of his design in the first place, and they stayed true to the suit by having a little flip up on the feet down there, but it kind of inhibits his standing ability. He likes to lean forward, and that's okay, but if you get him in a bad sort of pose, this small area isn't enough to really stand him, and he likes to topple forward, so he takes a little bit of fiddling to find that little nice balance point, which can vary depending on how you have his hands. But yeah, he's not that great of a figure. You could definitely use a dark wash or black wash, whatever you want to call it, throughout here, because it does have a lot of neat little cage and chain designs throughout there. So it's a decent sculpted figure, it's just the articulation kind of kills him for me. And here we have Stingrage, not Range, who's actually really good. I like him a lot. He was kind of one of the stranger designs for not Virizion, Vivizord, I forgot what his Kyoryuger name was. It started with a V and was virus themed. But he's kind of neat. He's actually a good figure. He's got full swivel articulation in the arms, as well as an elbow, and down here at the hips as well. So you got all the main points of articulation. His head does rotate a little bit, but thanks to his shoulders, that is hindered a bit. But he can turn his head enough to where it doesn't particularly bother me at all. He doesn't need to look behind him. That's weird. It's got the cool wings and the mouth like breathing the fire and stuff. It's a neat design and it translates well into a figure. And by having all the posability points, it certainly highlights him as one of the better figures in the line. So we have him, and since I still have him sitting here from the last review, we have Ice Age. Now, if you remember, in Dino Charge, I actually did this on one of the newer episodes. But in Kyoryuger, there's 3 more. The Meteor guy, they formed a pack of 3. And I really hope they do make the Meteor guy. I don't think he's slated for Supercharge, which kind of ticks me off because I want the 3rd member of the group. So that's a little bit of a bummer. But regardless, Stingrange is a really good... I keep saying Rage is a really good figure, and it's got all those cool little, like, ghouly skulls around his body that, if painted nicely, would look just really cool. Plus, he has his little trident thingy. So that's neat. Pretty good figure overall. Next up is a Vivizord, which is a figure I wouldn't get too excited about, but the fact that we have Megazords in this action figure toy line totally warrants the fact that these should exist. Now, they're not perfect. The paint on this is gorgeous. Just like the Vivix figures, the Vivizord here has all those washed-in details in the sculpt, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. I still love the Vivix figures. And the Vivizord is absolutely no different. It's a great little sculpt, and just all those details in there are beautiful, and I love them. Now, that means that the figure's not perfect, of course. I wasn't really expecting... Can you actually... No, it's just this pulls out a bit. As you can see right in there, it's not a hinge, it's just a little hole and socket. So it kind of looks like he's trying to hold in a pea or something. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but given his design, it's not a big deal. I think the biggest deal is the arms, by not having a swivel there. These are simply on rotations, and it kind of gets them stuck in a really stupid position. I really wish you could splay these arms out a little bit. That's my only complaint with the figure, but other than that, while the playability suffers a little bit, it definitely looks the best on display out of all of these figures. The Vivix and the Vivizords look gorgeous. And finally, we have Sledge, who I actually really, really like. The first prototypes of Sledge had this really awful-looking bronze color, and it was really bad. But thankfully, by the time he hit production, he has a slightly more accurate color scheme. Could be a little bit darker to match the show, but it's a lot better than the bright bronze copper sort of color that they had previously at like Toy Fair and stuff. So other than that, really good figure overall. There's a lot of details in this mold that are absolutely beautiful that are unfortunately not painted. His entire belt area is all molded great. His chest armor has a bunch of cracks and scrapes through it. That's really nice. So does his leg armor right here. So there's a ton of details in this figure, and the back even looks really great. So he's even got his little ponytail thing. So there's a lot of details in this figure that are unfortunately washed away in the fact that there's no paint. But, like I said with a couple of these guys, a dark wash would do this figure wonders. Get some black into that scale detail on his chest and in the armor grooves and everything would look great, I think. And I might actually try that with Sledge. I don't know if I'm going to try with the other figures. But Sledge, I think I might give a shot and try to black wash him. Or dark wash again, whatever. Interesting note with the figure is that the shoulder pads are actually connected to the middle of his arm, his bicep there. So they actually fold in and out like this, which actually helps the toy a lot in terms of posability. So you can get the figure all the way up there, close that up. It does have a single elbow joint, no swivels in the wrist or anything like that, but that's not a huge deal on this guy. Full hip articulation and knee articulation right there. And, of course, his head does rotate, but that ponytail right there will stop him. But, again, his head turns just enough for realistic posing. So that is nice. So nothing really there that I care too much about. You can't look up and down, but I don't even think the Sledge suit can look up and down, tell you honest God truth. So there is that. He does come with his gun, which confused me a little bit at first because it pegs into the side. I didn't notice the hole right there, and I was like, what do you do? How do you do this? Because I'm stupid. But no, it just pegs right into the side of his hand, which is a nice way of doing it, since his hands are kind of open like that. Would make weapon holding a little bit difficult. So that just pegs in right there. If you want to get really fun, you can add a little bit of purple putty or something right there and pretend it's the purple energem. So you can do all sorts of fun things with that. But anywho, pretty neat. I really do like Sledge a lot. He's my favorite of all of the villain figures. He's posable. The sculpt is very accurate to the show. And like I said, I think with a black or dark wash, he would look very, very good. So huge props to them on the Sledge figure. I think they did an absolutely wonderful job. So overall, these figures range from great to okay. It really depends on what you want out of these. I would definitely recommend Sledge, bar none. Like I said, my favorite of the villain figures released. I don't know, I just really like him. I think he captures a lot of great points about these figures. So by all means, I would say pick up Sledge if you see him, especially if you have Fury, Wrench, and Curio. You might as well complete the male side of that ship anyway. So who knows about Poisandra? A little campaign, I guess, whatever. Raise pitchforks and stuff. But some of the other figures aren't that great. I think Sting Rage is a really good figure. Slammer and Spellbinder, not so much. Again, sometimes these figures are really great, sometimes they are not. My dogs are going crazy in the background. So it really depends on your taste. Like I said, Sledge is a great figure, and I would definitely recommend picking him up, but the others, just use your discretion on whether you want that design to fill your shelves or not. Regardless, it's really cool that we're getting some villain figures, and I can't wait to see the figures that they got in store for Dino Supercharge. So we shall see. That about does it for this review. If you like it, go ahead and blast that like button, comment below, and subscribe for more. So as always, thanks for watching, take care, and have a great one. Bye.